wait, wrong video. Well. Welcome to another episode of Book Club with Caden Kelly, a podcast where I read books and I talk about them with the intention to help improve my health, my wealth, my wisdom, and my peace, to make me a better person, to keep me accountable to reading these books, to sharing the information with you so that you can improve your life in all of those aspects as well. This podcast is live, and I got a new microphone, and it might be a little loud, so I'm going to turn it down a smidge. There we go. That might be a little better. Got a new microphone for Christmas, but that's fine. I'm still figuring out the settings because I don't have an engineer to do that for me, so I'm improvising. But this podcast is live on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitch, and you can find the links to the live, if you're not listening to this live, on my blog, CadenKellysBlog.wordpress.com. You go to on the blog, there's links to all of the spots, to the Twitch, the Facebook, the YouTube, and you can share your thoughts. You can tag along, and do all sorts of crazy nonsense in the chat, But also keep it respectful. But also come join in chat if you'd like. The blog also has a bunch of other links to my social media. It has my blog where I write. I write wisdoms from the books that we read and my insights. I share my own thoughts. I usually post once a week. I haven't posted the last couple of weeks, but that's okay. It was Christmas, and I'm making excuses, and I've been doing a whole bunch of other stuff. I was also sick again. I'm still dealing with my injury on my hamstring. Dude, the sickness is it was just another cold, man. Just another freaking cold. I don't know what's going around or what's going on, but everyone seems to be getting sick over and over again, and it sucks. But it is what it is. We do what we got to do, right? So we're fine. I'm fine. I might be a little congested, but I'm fine, really. Yeah, I got this new microphone. I'm going to turn it down even a little more, actually. Looks like, how about right there? That might be fine. It just looks like it's peeking out a little bit on my side. So, but if anyone's listening and it sounds, they have feedback for how it sounds, let me know. So yeah, we're doing, oh shit, I'm going to even turn it down a little more to, how about right there? That might be too quiet. Actually, yeah, I'd rather have it a little too loud than too quiet. So I'm going to leave it right there. Okay, yeah, I got a new microphone. It's like the golden standard for podcasts, I guess. It's the Shure mic, that Shure SM7B or something like that. It's the same one that Rogan uses, right? It's the same one that him and all the other podcast guys use. So I don't know how much better it actually sounds. I like to believe that it's going to make a huge difference on how it sounds. I did a little side-by-side comparison with my old microphone, which was the AKG P120, which was awesome. I've used that for, a few years now, before the podcast, even when I was just playing video games. And I used it to record music, record my guitar. It had a nice dynamic range. This microphone is just for the compression microphone podcasting sound. So it should be really good. It should be really clear. I'm guessing. We're going to find out after this. I'm going to find out after this goes live or after this posts when I can listen back to it. So anyway, got the new microphone. We had a good Christmas. We hung out with all of our family, with my parents, with my girlfriend's family, with my grandparents. It was a wild trip, man. Divorced parents' Christmases are fun when you're a kid. I mean, divorce isn't fun when you're a kid. But Christmas is, because you get double the presents, right? But then when you're an adult, it just becomes kind of a headache because you got to go to so many different places for Christmas. Instead of just waking up and making French toast and hanging out with your family, you got to do that for like a few hours and then go with the other family for a few hours. And then when you got a girlfriend, you got to go with their family for a few hours. So it's a little more exhausting than just hanging out, which is what we want to do. But we had a great Christmas. I'm not complaining one little bit. Christmas was great. The holidays were great. And now it's going to be really wet and rainy and cold again, it sounds like. So for your daily forecast, I'm just, it looks like it's raining right now over here where I'm at. and it's going to be rainy and snowy. Wow. Through next Thursday, which is great because we need the fucking water. And someone said that I made a comment like, "Oh, this weather is so great." Oh shit, I'm not recording. Oh, that's all right. Someone made the comment that this weather is shit. Yeah, that threw me off. I had to I need to just make it so it auto starts the record button when I start. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm like almost 2 years into this podcast. I still don't know what I'm doing. I made the comment that getting all this snow, when it snowed like crazy over here, made the comment that it was awesome. We're getting so much snow and it's going to really help for the drought. And someone responded saying that we need this much snow like all winter. We need it to snow this much all winter to alleviate the drought, to start moving in the other direction. And if that's the case, then fine, so be it. But let's be grateful for the amount of rain and water that we get, and snow in the mountains, rain in the valley, right? Isn't that what they want? Isn't that what they say? The snow in the mountains is what fills our reservoirs, and the rain in the valley is what fills our wells, and whatever. I don't know. I'm not an engineer or a water scientist, but anyway, it sounds like we're getting a lot of water, so keep that in mind for anyone who fucking cares. What else? What else is going on? My hamstring is feeling better. I was doing yoga 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago today, actually, when I was doing a half bound seated lotus, and it's pretty much like crisscross applesauce with just one leg. So one leg is folded up into your hip and the other one is extended forward and you're sitting down. And you reach forward for your extended leg, and I heard there was a big old pop on my knee, which I thought was my knee. I thought I had popped my LCL or my ACL or something, MCL, whatever. And over the course of time, my knee never hurt. It started the pain started coming from like the top part of my calf, and I've had a couple people tell me that where it hurts probably means it's my hamstring or my calf. But it's Mashed Potatoes is in the chat. Sup, bruh? Have you already talked about how I sucked at pickleball for 2 hours and then you carried me to an undefeated third hour? I haven't yet. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to boast or gloat, but I will read your comment. We had a legendary Saturday. We did play pickleball Saturday, and it was freaking awesome. We played a King's Court. I'm going to fix my light real quick. There we go. We had a King's Court with 12 guys and played for 2 hours. Tons of fun. They're probably like 4-0, maybe pushing 4 or 5 guys. And so they're pretty good competition for our group. And after the 2 hours were up, me and our bros played a third hour, just the 4 of us. And Hayden and I were undefeated. It was sick made. Usually we're not undefeated. Honestly, usually we struggle, but something clicked. Mashed Potatoes was sick. He's sick made, and pickleball's so much fun. So, no, I didn't talk about it, but thanks for bringing it up because I actually forgot. So I was talking about my hamstring, though, and yeah, so anyway, it's not my knee that's hurt. It's my hamstring, and I went to yoga again. I took last week off of yoga. I've been able to see, it's not my knee. I've been doing squats and lunges and walking on the treadmill and riding the bike, and I've had zero pain in my knee, which helps me think that, or at least gives me the impression that it's not my knee that's injured or that was injured, and that it was my hamstring or my calf, the tendon. And I was playing pickleball with an orthopedic surgeon last week who does, who it was just casual, and it's an unofficial opinion, but he diagnosed me unofficially, and he told me that, yeah, you probably hurt your, I told him about it at first, and he said, it was your LCL. And then I pointed to the area where it hurt, and he said, oh no, if it was your LCL, it would be up here closer to your knee, and where you're pointing to is probably your calf, is what he said. So anyway, nice. That makes me feel better. I'm nervous about knee injuries because I know that those are pain for recovery and fixing, and you got to take care of your knees. And so I try. So, that's why I don't want to do a lot of running anymore, and why I don't want to do like high impact stuff. I like to do the bike, and pickleball is probably the most intense on my knees activity that I do for my knees, honestly. So anyway, long story short, we had a great weekend. I used up yesterday to observe for the officially observed Christmas Day, and I've used that time to finish up my book and clean the house and recover from Christmas. And also because Christmas evening, Sunday night, I ended up playing video games with my friends until 3:30 in the morning, and that's fine because we do that sometimes. And that's like the only time I ever stay up late anymore is playing video games. And so I just got to mitigate it as much as possible. I got to moderate it. And true moderation would be to not play until 3:30 in the morning, but I have a problem. So anyway, that was awesome. But now we're here. We're here and we're ready to talk about this book that we read last week. The book is called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I think it's pronounced Sinek. Sinek. Whoops. How great leaders inspire everyone to take action. Mashed potato, since you're here, I wanted to ask you, while I'm using this new mic, let me know how it sounds, if it ever sounds not good, if it's too loud or too quiet or anything else, fuzzy, static, echoey, whatever. Let me know. I want to dial it in and I need help. So, great book. Awesome book. I think I said I wanted to read one of his books for a while now. Hey B Moon is in the chat, says I sound terrible. Awesome, man. Absolutely awful. Thanks. All right, thanks for the feedback. Very unconstructive, whatever. It's not helpful. Not helpful feedback. Very critical. And that's fine because there's nothing I can do to improve it. You're not giving me anything I can improve on. I can't believe you spent money on this mic. JK, you sound great. Awesome. Thanks, B-Moon. And good morning. You had a great morning this morning. So, yeah, Simon Sinek, he pops up on my TikTok and my Instagram every now and then in interviews, and he's always sharing something super wise or inspiring. So I've been following him for a little while, and this book sounds like it's come later in a series of books that he's written. And it was published in 2000. This one was published in 2009. Start With Why. So it's 13, almost 14 years old, which is crazy that we're moving into 2023, right? Isn't it crazy how time just doesn't fucking stop? I mean, it doesn't fucking stop. So I don't know what he's written since, actually. I should probably look. But other books that he's written are called The Infinite Game, Leaders Eat Last, and Together is Better. So if you're interested in this book, you can find more from other stuff he's written. I don't know if there's a bio on him in here. It looks like on the back of the book there's a little bit, but I don't know if this is like a description of the book. On the back it says, Simon Sinek is leading a movement to build a world in which the vast majority of us are inspired by the work we do. Yeah, this is about the book. Shit. I'll Wikipedia our boy really quick, maybe. Nothing in the back. How about in the front? Give me something. Oh yeah, here we go. Very, very first. Start With Why, portfolio. Simon Sinek is an optimist who believes in a brighter future for humanity. Oh yeah, I read this in last week's podcast. His talk on TED Talk is the third most watched talk of all time. Learn more about his work and how you can inspire those around you at startwithwhy.com. I kind of want to know where he's from too, because he's got a little bit of an accent. Let's see. It's Simon Sinek. Let's see. This is from simonsinek.com. Simon Oliver Sinek is a British-born American author and inspirational speaker. He's the author of 5 books, including Start With Why and The Infinite Game. Those 2 might be his most popular, it sounds like. Let's see more about other books that he's read. I just want to share really quick because I want to gas up this author. I think he's awesome. Okay, so all the books that pop up under his name are Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, The Infinite Game, Find Your Why, Together is Better, Leaders, Start With Why, The Inspiring. Oh, it's a republished. Oh, I should have done that. It's like a, what do you call it? Not refurbished, but an updated version. I don't know. More Start With Why, more Leaders, another book called Truly Human, and the 21st Century Meisters. But the most recent one is the republishing of Start With Why. So yeah, he's got 5 or 6 books, 6 or 7. Awesome. And yeah, he even talks about in his book. I know I always mention that I'm skeptical of authors that don't have a formal education or don't follow a scientific method for their research or for their claims. And a lot of this is just him kind of bullshitting it. But also I think a lot of this self-help world and a lot of it is just kind of bullshit. But the more scientific research that they do, or the more they support what they're saying, that they can support what they're saying, the more credible it is, and the more we should pay attention to it. And just like in his bio, he doesn't have a formal education, or at least it's not noteworthy. He didn't mention it. And throughout the book, he talks about being in college and getting average grades and not being a super genius. But that's also part of why he uses that as part of his claim to fame, for the reason that he has found success. And we'll talk about it. So let's get into it, huh? Let me get a drink. Start With Why. All right. Introduction. The goal of this book is to help you become an inspiring leader. But if you're not trying to be a leader, then I still encourage you to listen to this, because this information is going to be huge for us down the road. At the end of this podcast, I got a surprise for you motherfuckers. Okay. In the, I don't know what you would call this, like the prelude. It's before the introduction. It's before the preface. It's before the introduction. I don't know. It's the prelude, I'm going to call it. He says, there are leaders and there are those who lead. Leaders hold a position of power or influence. Those who lead inspire us. Whether individuals or organizations we follow... Whoops. There's a comma there. Whether individuals or organizations, we follow those who lead, not because we have to, but because we want to. We follow those who lead, not for them, but for ourselves. This is a book for those who want to inspire others, and for those who want to find someone to inspire them. So, like our boy, what's his name? Sadhguru says, a message from him that has resonated with me over time is the principle of awareness. It's not his principle. It's not something he regurgitates it. It's come from hundreds, maybe thousands of years of wisdom from other people, but a message that continues to circulate the self-help world is, in order to live a better life, you need to first be aware of, you need to have awareness. You need to live consciously. And even if you don't want to be a leader, this book sounds like, oh, I don't want to be a leader, so I'm not going to listen to it, or I'm not going to pay attention. This book is not just about how to become an efficient or a good leader. It's also how to recognize good leaders. In the business world, I've always thought it's interesting. Like, my personality type is I do better not being in charge, but just kind of being on my own and having my, like, being able to operate on my own and not be Now have a boss. I don't know how to say it, and not saying I don't like. I love to learn from people that are smarter and better than me. I think it's so critical to improvement, but I just work better on my own. But so like growing up, I've always thought that's just how everybody is. Everybody wants to be independent. Everyone wants to operate on their own, but that's not true. A lot of people are the other way. A lot of people operate better under the helm of somebody else. They work better when they have someone to follow. When they receive instruction, they can execute efficiently. They perform better with the guy under the guide of a good leader. They don't want to be a leader. They want to be led. And that's great. And so this book is not just about how to become a good leader. It's how to find good leaders and follow them and support their cause because it supports your cause. So if don't worry if you're not trying to be a good leader. There's tons of awesome wisdom from this book that we're all going to learn from. Okay, this book, it's not super long. It's pretty average. It's about 8 hours of a read. And it's broken out into 6 parts, but there's only 2 chapters per part. So it's not terribly long. There's 6 parts, I think 12 chapters total. Let me double check. 14 chapters total. So about 2 chapters apart. So let's get into it. Part 1. A world that doesn't start with why. Chapter 1, assume you know. Okay, first, how annoying is it when people are like, you need to know your why. If you want to achieve anything, if you want to do anything, you got to know why. You got to start with your why. You got to find your why. Yeah. We've talked about your why so many times before, I feel like. But it's so fundamental to any kind of improvement in the world or in yourself, in your business, in your family, in your health. You got to understand your why individually. And in this case, it's going to be, the conversation will be centered around your business. If you want to be a leader, effective leaders understand their why. So he starts on the other side. A world without a why is part 1. So chapter 1, and I will say too, this, like 90% of this book is repetitive. So a lot of the notes are going to be pretty much the same. It's going to be the same, but I think it's such an important message, so we're going to keep repeating it. We make decisions based off assumptions, but often get things wrong. The further down the line you can plan for, the greater your chances of long-term success. The further down the line you can plan for, the greater chances the greater are your chances for long-term success. I fucked up that now. And again, you know me, I always fuck up my notes. I think I either type them too fast or I dictate speech them and don't proofread. I just fuck up my notes. So thanks for bearing with me. So yeah, I mentioned that you want to use. We like to read books that have studies to support your claims, and he totally does. He just doesn't reference them a ton, which I appreciate. The dialogue is easy to follow, and it's all in his own words and terms. But yeah, at the end of the book, he's got dozens of studies that he pulls from, or lectures or stuff like this in the back of the book. So I really like him. I think he's brilliant. So anyway, biologically, as creatures, as meat sacks, with monkey brains, we're prone to make assumptions, and we don't need to talk about why or where that comes from, but humans tend to make assumptions based on other people's decisions, but assumptions are usually wrong. And for our ancestors, it was advantageous for them. We are descendants of ancestors that made bad assumptions. They assumed that that the rustling of a bush was a predator trying to eat them, and so they retreated because the ancestors that heard the rustling in the bush and didn't assume that it was a predator, and it was, died. So our ancestors were especially paranoid. that's a claim that biologists and anthropologists make, is we're prone to make bad decisions because we're descendants of but it led to their survival. Our ancestors had a higher chance of survival by assuming the worst, usually in most circumstances, because it led them to retreat even when it wasn't necessary, even when the wrestling in the bush was just the wind or a little bunny rabbit, right? We become paranoid from we make assumptions, but we're often wrong, okay? And I told you I wasn't going to explain human behavior, and I just did, so I hope you enjoyed that. But so the more you can plan for, the greater your chances are of success. Nice. Chapter 2, carrots and sticks. All right, I got a lot of notes here. Do you have customers and employees because you manipulate them or because you inspire them? Quote, there are only two ways to influence human behavior. You can manipulate it or you can inspire it. We should revisit Robert Cialdini's book, Influence. That was awesome. And his whole book was on how to influence human behavior. And let's be honest, if I remember much of his conversation, it was mostly manipulations. Let's establish first, manipulation isn't inherently immoral. It's how we use manipulations to influence people's behavior, okay? So, but the claim that he makes is there's only two ways to influence people's behavior: manipulations and inspiration. And so he talks about the difference. And as you can guess, inspiration is it's not a more ethical form of influence. In fact, it's not always as successful as manipulation, but inspiration, as we'll discuss, leads to better long-term results, more loyalty from customers, etc. Let's get into it. All right. So he talks about effective manipulation strategies. These things include price dropping, promotions, fear, aspirations, peer pressure, novelty, and innovation. I think, and I said, he didn't mention this, but I said I think trends can also fall under a form of manipulation. It's like feeling left out or making people feel left out. Like, I guess that's kind of under novelty. I think novelty and trends are kind of the same. But anyway, oh, dude, I'll just say really quick, my drink is apple cider vinegar and some sparkling water, and it's hard to drink. I'm trying to live forever, so I'm drinking this apple cider vinegar on the podcast, and I think that was a bad idea. But I got to drink it now. It's all I got to keep this palate moist. So price dropping, promotions, fear, aspirations, peer pressure, novelty, innovations, and trends. These are effective strategies to influence a person's behavior. If you're a business owner, and I'm a business owner, and I'm guilty of all of these things. It's crazy. He kind of explains that these things have become so normal in business behavior that they're almost the standard. Is this people price dropping it and giving out promotions and using fear? Like I saw a COVID commercial on the TV the other day about getting vaccinated, and if you're not if you have these pre-existing conditions, you're more likely to have complications from COVID and die. And that's a fear tactic. And it might be well-intentioned even. That's what I'm saying, is manipulations aren't inherently immoral. All that these people are doing are trying to influence your behavior to do their thing, to buy their thing, to buy their service, to use their service, to subscribe to their thing. And that's what I try to do with carpet cleaning. And because I need to win business, I need to win your business. And so I have used this fear tactic before by describing that in your carpet lies coronavirus and bacteria and other viruses can hide or can harbor in your carpet fiber. And it's true. That's the truth. I'm not even lying. Lying is totally a manipulation, and I would suggest lying is an immoral manipulation to influence behavior. But even telling the truth to instigate fear so that you will buy my service is manipulation. Even if I'm trying to help you. It's just like fear is the can't wait for White Glove Plus, the subscription. Yes. Yes, I know. And it's so dumb because I've thought about doing, well, the carpet manufacturer industry recommends getting your carpet clean at least twice a year so that it remains clean, so that it remains sanitary and will last the longest. And so I've totally thought about doing like, you can get these discounted rates if you sign this contract and let us come twice a year. I mean, it's all like, this is the standard in business, and it's almost the default, right? So again, like the word manipulation. No, I'm not talking to you, Siri. Come on. It's not immoral. This kind, like, as I understand it, this kind of manipulation isn't immoral. But it is the standard. And so he's talking about the alternative. If you want a higher chance of success, we need to shift the dynamic from manipulation to inspiration. First, he's got a couple more things on manipulation, though. Well, he's got a couple notes under these points I made. Under dropping price, once a customer pays a lower price, it is very difficult to get them to pay the higher price. Yes, I screwed up that note. I'm looking at it because I screwed up the note. Yeah, if you offer a discount, if I offer a discount for a customer for carpet cleaning, just to try to win their business, then it's almost impossible for me to charge them full price down the road. That's true. Promotions, including free gifts with their purchase, rebates, etc. Guilty there. Fear, real or perceived. Guilty. Aspirations. Quote, someone who lives a healthy lifestyle and is in a habit of exercising does not respond to, quote, 6 easy steps to losing weight. It's those who don't have the lifestyle that are most susceptible. So this is for under aspirations, right? So if a diet program or an exercise, like a gym, is going to sell 6 easy steps to lose weight. Just buy our program. It's $80. You get all of these things included. It's manipulating a person's desire or even an insecurity so that they'll buy your product. Usually it's not the systems that fail, it's our ability to maintain them. It's not immoral to try to help people lose weight or live healthier lifestyles, but it is manipulative to promote or to promote your product to vulnerable people. It's a form of manipulation. That's the whole point. Under novelty, I said that novelty or innovation alters an industry, but features do not. Features drive sales, but don't create lifelong customers. And then I talk about trends. So manipulation is effective to drive sales and get new customers. The problem with it is it doesn't breed loyalty. Manipulation, none of these tactics, these manipulation tactics, breed loyalty. They drive sales. They might get you new customers, but these things alone don't breed loyalty. And that's the difference. Quote, the short-term gains that drive business in America today are actually destroying our health. Close quote. He's referencing Peter Wybro's book, American Mania, When More Is Not Enough. I actually think I saved that because that sounds awesome. Maybe not. I should, though. American Mania. American Mania by... Where's it at? Yeah, When More Is Not Enough. There's no audiobook for it, though. Wybro. The problem is manipulations work, which has created a so-called systemic peer pressure. If you want to succeed in business, you feel like you need to participate in manipulation, but it's not true. There is an alternative. All right, and what's the alternative? It's inspiration. So I've entered this business. I bought out the carpet cleaning business a year ago, and I am guilty of using all of these manipulation tactics, because it has become this the foundation for building a business, or at least on the surface it seems that way to me. Without awareness, if I'm just trying to copy everybody, I'm not aware of the companies that are trying to inspire. Yeah, it's easy to see that other carpet cleaning businesses use these kind of sales and marketing strategies, and they use these promotions, and they instigate fear by using this kind of language. So, but you don't have to, is the point. Especially if you want long-term success, you need to inspire both your team and you need to inspire your customers. You won't find long-term success by using manipulations. Manipulations will drive sales and might find you new customers, but they're not going to get you long-term success. So let's move on to part 2, an alternative perspective. Chapter 3, the golden circle. What he calls the golden circle is a method of how to predict how people will behave. It aims to inspire rather than to manipulate. There are 3 components. And this is going to be the rest of the book. The first one is what, the second, how, the third, why. The first is what a company does, second, how a company does it, and third, why a company does it that way, why it exists, what its purpose is. Inspiring companies start with why, then move to how, then to what. Manipulative ones start with what, then how, then why, if they ever stop to consider why. Starting with why generates loyalty. Quote, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Close quote. And honestly, I don't think that rings entirely true for some people. I think some people only buy what they want from you because of what they want. And they'll exploit your... I've got an example. And they might be listening to this. But I know a guy who used a company's 30-day return policy for some protein powder or like a meal replacement powder. And the policy was you buy our product and you have 30 days to use it. And if you don't like it, send it back. No questions asked. So I think the policy was you can do that with one of all of our flavors. So I think this person bought one of all the flavors. It's like $80 or $60 a package or something. And took them and dumped them out, and then or kept them and used them, and then sent the packages back and asked for their money back. And that's not even that person's fault. It's the company's fault for using that as a sales tactic. 30-day guarantee. If you don't like it, it's a 30-day guarantee. You get your money back, no questions asked. It's not even this person's fault that they used this strategy for their own benefit, right? So this is the whole point. If you're this company, it's not, the company is Kiva. And I don't think it's a protein shake company. It's like a meal replacement thing. It's got a whole bunch of nutrients and it's awesome stuff. But they're using a manipulation strategy to get new customers. Try our stuff, 30-day guarantee, money back, no questions asked. And this person I know use this system against them. And to this day, as far as I'm aware, this person I know hasn't bought any more of Kiva's product. This is the point. It might have gotten a new sale. It potentially could have gotten a new sale, but this person that I know is aware and awake enough, or is smart enough to use this manipulation strategy in their favor. So, anyway, the point is that this manipulation strategy didn't breed a long-term customer. But if this company if the foundation of this company, their sales and marketing strategy was inspiring, you wouldn't have to offer a 30-day guarantee or your money back policy. Customers would, and this is going to be the point of the book, they will resonate with your why, and they will see how you do it, and then buy what you do. So if this company values health and nutrition and supporting people who who lack their essential vitamins and minerals and everything, their how is going to be to supply all of these essential vitamins and minerals and nutrients to people, and they're going to do it through their what will be this meal replacement shake, right? So the point is, manipulative companies start with what, and they do anything they can to sell you their what and their how, and they might not ever even consider a why they do it, or try to speak to your why. But inspiring companies will start with why, and you will be sold on their why, and will buy their what and how they do it. And then your chances of being a long-term customer are way higher. You like that story I told? I hope it was completely ambiguous. Inspiring companies start with why, then move to how. Oh, I just read this. This isn't the only metric for success, but the greatest reason to maintain success in the future. Yeah, is companies being inspiring rather than manipulative. Okay. Chapter 4. This is not opinion. This is biology. I think he mentioned, if I remember, that he studied in college anthropology, which is awesome because that's what I want to study. But I don't think he ever got a degree, or if he did, he doesn't ever talk about it. He doesn't boast on it, and he doesn't use it to support his claims. But here he does. Here he makes a point. The chapter is, this is not opinion, this is biology. And the only note I have is, we often make decisions based off our gut instinct, which is through the limbic brain, and we justify it with rationality through the neocortex. So he calls the limbic brain the why and the how part of the brain, and the neocortex, which is the what part. And this is just our biology. We make decisions based off our gut instincts, and then we justify it through rationality. Yeah, let's go back to the rustling in the bush. We hear a rustling in the bush, and that causes us to flee, and we go back to our tribe empty-handed, and our tribe's like, what the hell? Did you come back empty-handed? Where's the food? But you say, I heard a rumbling in the bush. I'm justifying my behavior, my gut instinct, because there was a predator in the bush. And then maybe the whole tribe goes back to the bush, and it was just a little bunny rabbit or a squirrel, right? Or there was a fucking lion or leopard or rhino in the bush, right? So we are the descendants of gut instinct. What was the word we used earlier? Shit. Assumptions. We are the descendants of gut instinct assumers, and but a lot of times we're wrong. A lot of the times we're wrong in our assumptions, in our gut instinct. So this is why it's so important to be aware, to have awareness, to recognize when we are making assumptions or making decisions, and so we can figure out if they're rational or if they're real, or if they're helpful even, or if they're harming us. Chapter 5, clarity, discipline, and consistency. Clarity, discipline, and consistency. After you know your why, understand your how, period. Your how are your values and principles. What are the results of your why and how? So why is why you do a thing. Okay, so let's imagine you're a business owner. Okay, and again, this book is about leaders, how to be a great leader, how to take action. So if you want to be a leader or start a business, if you want to be an inspiring leader, start with why. Why do you want to be a leader? Why do you want to go into what you're doing? For me, why do I want to be a carpet cleaner, right? I need to actually consider this and remember it and remind myself of it every single day. Why did I start, or why am I a part of, or why am I in charge of a carpet cleaning business? Why? Start with why. Manipulative company will start with what I do. And what I do is I'm an owner of a carpet cleaning company. So my what and my how will be to use promotions and sales and fear and what was the other one? The aspiration, find aspirational people who are in sick or dirty conditions, right? But if I'm an inspiring carpet cleaner or an inspiring leader, which sounds so dumb, but if I want to be that way, then I will start with my why. I'll consider why I care about being in this industry or why I care about carpet cleaning, and then I will use that why for my how and my what. So after I know my why, understand your how. So, okay, I'm going to use myself as an example, I guess, a little bit. Or maybe I won't because I'm going to save some time. Let's just keep going. Your how are your values and your principles. So your why is why you do it. Your how are your values and your principles. And then what's are how you're going to execute on your why and your how. Authenticity matters, and all authenticity is that you actually believe in what you say and do instead of doing and saying what others want to hear, which is a manipulative behavior, right? Authenticity, being authentic, is inspiring, and being a people pleaser is manipulative. Quote, loyalty exists in the brain of the buyer, not in the seller. Quote, the goal of business should not be to do business with anyone who simply wants what you have. It should be to focus on the people who believe what you believe. Yes. And if you're not conveying your why effectively, you're not going to find customers who resonate with your why or who are buying or subscribing to your products or services because of your why. I mean, like, take Netflix, for example, even. Like the grandfather of TV channel or like TV show subscription, right? Aren't they? Didn't they lead the industry or start the industry in TV show streaming and movie streaming, a streaming service? If they have their what and their how really dialed in. They have their what are a bunch of shows easily delivered to your home, and their how is through subscription and and making deals with a bunch of people to make shows and make movies exclusives to Netflix. But what's Netflix's why? Why does Netflix do that? Why does Netflix make exclusive TV shows and movies and try to get Netflix into everyone's home? I guess it's worth considering. Why does Netflix do what it does? Why does Disney do what it does? Why does Donald Trump do what he does? Why does anybody do what they do? Why does McDonald's do what they do? Why? And an example he uses a ton in the book, and he says because of their popularity and everyone's familiar with them, is Apple. He compares Apple to Dell and Microsoft a ton. And he talks that I think like Apple has like 2% of the market share for home computers, for desktops, right? 2%, which is bananas. I imagine that there would be far more Apple computers in people's homes. But I guess I don't have an Apple computer. I have an iPad and an iPhone, but my computer is totally a desktop. It's a regular PC with Microsoft Windows, right? So the point he makes comparing is Apple's why is very clear, and at least it was when Steve Jobs had found Apple, and when Bill Gates found Microsoft with their team, not solely. I know there was Wozniak with Apple and whatever. So, at the beginning of these companies, their why is very well established, and Apple's like one of Apple's why today is to give personality or individuality to a person using their product. Like you are unique and different, and even though we all use the same fucking device, it's supposed to be quote unquote customizable to a person. And what's interesting is Samsung's and Google phones, like the Android software, is so much more customizable to a person. But Android sells a what without establishing their why. This is the distinction that he makes between Apple and companies like Dell and Microsoft. To an extent, is their Apple, even though their market share might be significantly lower than other leading tech companies, their why has bred insane loyalty from their customers, long-term loyalty. I mean, how many people do you know say that they'll never buy anything besides an iPhone? I mean, I used an Android for a lot of years just because I wanted to be fucking different. In high school, I came home and I got for my mission. I came home from my mission in 2016. I got an Android, and all my friends got iPhones, and they all made fun of me. And I was like, I'm different because I have a Samsung. But you know what is so crazy about like the psychology that Apple uses to make the blue messages between Apple iPhone users and the green messages between Samsung users or Android users as bred. And I'm a victim of it too. I don't want to text any fucking green text bubbles. In fact, my dad was like, the other day, his iMessage had accidentally turned off when we were at lunch, and he's like, I would rather just not, like, I'd rather throw my phone away or turn my phone off than text than like receive green text. And Apple has just bred this in their consumers so well. They've made, I guess that's kind of a form of manipulation, but what would you call that? It's like a cult following, a cult-like following. It's that we are when you're an Apple user, you're part of the in group, right? It's pretty crazy. But yeah, so to wrap up part 2, the goal of business should not be to do business with anyone who simply wants what you have, like Android, who can make a super customizable phone. It should be to focus on the people who believe what you believe. And Apple uses Apple and Walmart in the early days with Sam Walton, and Microsoft with Bill Gates in the early days as excellent icons of people who used inspiration to lead their companies rather than manipulation. And then he says, after Jobs got the boot from Apple, and when Bill Gates retired from Microsoft, and there was Continental Airlines in like the 80s or the 90s, I think, were losing $600 million a year, and they had this will come later in the book. I guess I'm spoiling it, but companies go through a switch when they get new leaders who don't share the same why or lose focus of their why, of the company. And that happens. It's happened to Apple. It's happened to Walmart. It happened to Continental Airlines. It happened to Microsoft. It happened to McDonald's. Like the original people, they found their companies. They breed insane loyalty from their employees and from their customers. And then new leaders come in, but they either change the why or they forget the why and focus on the what and the how. And that can breed disdain and resentment in the employees and the customers. I basically just quoted myself from my notes, but that's what happens when I'm getting way ahead of myself. I got to just keep reading my fucking notes. How far am I? My timer's getting blocked. Holy shit, almost an hour in. All right, let's keep going. Part 3. Leaders need a following. Chapter 6. The emergence of trust. Quote, you have to earn trust by communicating and demonstrating that you share the same values and beliefs. You have to talk about your why and prove it with what you do. Quote, the goal is not to hire people who simply have a skill set you need. The goal is to hire people who believe what you believe. Can you see how this is, it's kind of repetitive, but this is the point of the book. When you want to inspire your customers, you sell them on your why, but then they'll buy your product for a lifetime. And if you want to be inspiring to your employees, you need to sell your employees and demonstrate your values and your why to them. And if they share the same values, then they'll stick with you through thick and thin. And they don't need forms of manipulations that companies use to keep their employees are bonuses and incentives and like pay raises. What else? Like vacation time, extended vacation time. And it's such a standard in industries to employ these things because, or would it be deploy these things? To use these tactics to keep and get new employees. Oh, our competitors pay $25 an hour, but we pay $50 an hour. That's just a manipulation strategy. That's all it is. And if you're not aware of that, you're going to go to the $50 an hour job and think that it's going to be way better. But it's not. It's going to be the exact same. In fact, if the $25 an hour job has established their why and you share your value, if you share the same values as that company, you will live a much better and have more satisfaction at the $25 an hour job than the $50 an hour job if their why and their values don't align with yours. Even though it's literally double the money, and the $50 might have bonuses and more vacation time, your quality of life will be far lower than the time spent at the other job. So it's so important for you as an individual to be aware of your own values, what's actually important to you, how you want to spend your time. Because if you don't know, you're just going to go wherever you think the money is or wherever you think the opportunity is, even though you're not aware of it. Your life will be so much, even though you'll have to be smarter with your money. If you make less money, you're going to be you're going to be a fucking happier person. That's like the point of this podcast, man, is to figure out how to be happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. I say happy, but that's synonymous with peaceful, right? Anyway. So yeah, you got to know what your why is. Your own individual why. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you want to go to work? How are you going to live up to your values? What are your values? And then what are you going to do every day to realize or like to get closer to those values, right? So as a leader, as a business owner, you will breed loyalty in your employees if you can effectively demonstrate and what's the word? Not project, but if you can demonstrate and just like sell them on your own values, why you started the company, why you get out of bed every day, why you show up to this job every day, why it's important to you. Those employees will show up for the business and for you if they share the same values with fewer complaints, do a better job, X, Y, and Z. That's the emergence of trust. It's important. Chapter 7, how a tipping point tips. The goal of business isn't trying to sell to people who want what you have. Sorry, I'll start that again. The goal of business isn't trying to sell people who want what you have. It's to find people who believe what you believe. They'll perceive greater value from you and will happily pay a premium or suffer inconveniences for your product or service. There you go. If you share the same values, you're more willing to endure these like delays in shipping or rescheduling, or because you share the same values with these people. The inconveniences are less inconvenient, really, because for instance, the first thing that comes to my mind is you buy clothes from a company whose why is that they part of the reason that this company exists is because they donate X amount of clothes to people who need clothes, and they make their clothes from sustainable resources and places, and all of the work is fair trade and great, excellent working conditions. And you resonate with these values, so you only buy your clothes or your shoes from these kind of people, right? For me, I'll promote this fucking company. I don't give a fuck. Vivo Barefoot is the only shoe that I wear anymore. And initially it started just because I was looking for a wide toe shoe that was waterproof. I was trying to find some better working shoes because the carpet cleaning product, just my feet get wet. Your feet get wet when you're cleaning carpets. So I was trying to find something that was more resistant to water, and I have wide ass feet. So I was trying to find a wide foot, and Vivo was just a company that popped up on Google. I bought their shoes. I've learned more about the business's why, and they're like, it's an incredibly, there's going to be some whistleblower probably that's like, this company's actually not ethical. But the way that I only say that because I feel like that fucking happens with every company. But Vivo promotes themselves as a fair trade company, all sustainable, zero carbon emissions, or how do they describe it? It's like for all of the carbon that they emit making a shoe, they maybe I should just read their fucking mission statement. Like they plant trees in the equivalent of how much carbon they use. I don't know how to describe that. Vivo Barefoot Company. I love them. So this is the point I'm making. Maybe you only buy your shoes from Vivo because you resonate with their why. About us, our story. Founded in 2012 by two seventh-generation cobblers, Gallet and Asher Clark, Vivo Barefoot is based on one simple insight: barefoot footwear is regenerative to human health. This is their why, man. This is awesome. A Vivo Barefoot product or experience is one that literally brings us closer to nature. We believe the closer people are to nature, the more they will protect it. The natural world is the only real model of sustainability. Barefoot footwear is regenerative to human health. Their vision: reconnect people to the planet. Reconnect people and planet. Purpose: inspire a world with less padding and more feeling. Goal: create regenerative footwear and experiences to bring you closer to nature. And so fuck yeah, I totally vibe with that, with their mission. So what I do, I only buy their shoes. Literally, I only wear Vivo, and all of my friends know, I only wear Vivo Barefoot shoes. And I'm willing, and buying, it's not easy. They're based in Holland. They're based in Europe somewhere. Shit, where are they at? Let's see. It's probably at the bottom right here. All rights reserved. Maybe it's not. It's not right there. They're also certified B Corporation, which means, let's see, the Benefit Corporation. They promise to do business in a way that has a neutral or positive impact on other humans and our planet. You are certain to know B Corps already. They include UK surf brand Finister. Oh, okay. So B Corps, like they just supposedly super ethical brand. Somewhere in Europe. I'm not going to spend more time doing this. But the point is, I'm willing as a customer to endure more inconveniences to get their shoe. It takes a couple weeks to get their shoes. They're expensive. They're way more than like a pair of Nikes at your Nike outlet. I have a couple pairs of shoes that don't last as long even. Or at least they just need to be like, I bought them too big is what happened. I bought these two shoes too big, and so my toes like were poking through the fabric. Too big. But that's my fault. That's not even the shoe's fault. So I'm willing to endure the inconvenience of the shoe because I value the message that they make shoes that fit your feet rather than the other way around, making your feet fit in shoes. Like, I have Nikes and I have dress shoes, and the part of the message that Vivo makes is we make shoes that fit your feet, but Nikes you have to make your feet fit in Nikes. And like now, anytime I put on anything else besides a Vivo Barefoot, my foot is so cramped, it sucks. So I can't physically wear anything else. That was a long plug for Vivo Barefoot, but I highly endorse it. Okay, there you go. So, quote, it is those who share your values and beliefs, not the quality of your products, that will cause the system to tip. There you go. So values and beliefs, if you share your values and beliefs as a customer and as an employee, you'll breed more long-term success. And you'll be just a happier individual. You'll be more satisfied with the product, regardless of the outcome. I could get a Samsung phone if I want more customization, but I miss out on, well, the phone one is tough nowadays because the vision that Apple had in 1990 or 1985 or whenever Apple did their thing is different than it is today. But now I'm mostly loyal because of how their technology talks to one another. and it's like the hip thing to do is to have an iPhone. Rather, it's like dumb to have a Samsung. Even though the Samsung technology is superior, even though it is totally superior. Part 4. How to rally those who believe. Chapter 8. Start with why, but know how. Quote, energy motivates, but charisma inspires. Close quote. There are why-type people and how-type people that can take an abstract, intangible why and construct how to bring it alive. Dr. Martin Luther King knew why, but Ralph Abernathy knew how. It's a story I was unfamiliar with. You know, everyone hears about Martin Luther King Jr., everyone knows about MLK, but I didn't know about Ralph Abernathy, who was like his campaign manager, essentially. He's the one that organized the rallies and brought the people together. He knew how to make Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision come to life. King had the vision. He knew the why it was important, but Abernathy knew how to bring it to life. Just like Steve Jobs knew the why Apple was revolutionary, Wozniak knew how to make the technology come to life. Sorry, I'm getting a little congested from the fucking cold. Most successful entrepreneurs are how types. Steve Jobs had the vision, Wozniak had the goods. Yeah, the coding skills. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. Usually these successful companies, they like the inspirational person, the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates, the Sam Walton from Walmart. They have the why. They know the why, but it's the how people are. These guys are the entrepreneurs. They're the ones that find the why people, and they build a brand around them. They build the company around the why people. And then this is where it becomes dangerous when the Steve Jobs and the Sam Waltons move on or die or get fired or whatever. You know, didn't Steve Jobs get fucking fired because he's problematic? These new people will come in and can fuck up the system because the how type people, the entrepreneurs, are feeding the why people. And if the CEO or the why type person has a bad vision or has no vision, then the how type people are going to bring to life something that doesn't resonate with what the company once stood for. Chapter 9. Know why, know how, then what? Quote, if all the things at the what level do not clearly represent why the company exists, then the ability to inspire is severely complicated. Close quote. The CEO and the company ooze the same message and energy. Your CEO must embody the why. Okay, it's becoming a little repetitive, but again, I'm just going to read it all. I just don't need to expand on it anymore, right? Chapter 10. Communication is not about speaking, it's about listening. People follow dictators not because they want to, but because they have to. This is manipulation. Then I ask, would you rather be feared or loved? He does make some references to some politicians. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. was a big activist, not a politician, but there are politicians who inspire, who use inspirational tactics to breed long-term followership. Like I think FDR was one of his examples, or Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt. It's hard to use a Donald Trump or a Joe Biden or a Nancy Pelosi or anybody in politics today as a person to follow, an inspirational person to follow. It seems, at least I don't feel that way. I don't feel inspired by any of our politicians. Even like Utahns love Mitt Romney most of the time, right? I don't feel inspired by Mitt Romney. I mean, and if a good politician should be inspirational, and it will inspire the people of the country to, it will, if you share the same values as the politician, you'll be willing to follow them through thick and thin. I guess that's why a lot of social issues become politicized, right? Like climate change and abortion laws and What else? These kind of things, they breed, like if you share the same values as one of the political parties, then you're willing to like endure whatever the company or whatever the politician is endorsing because you believe in their message. Anyway, I'm not inspired by any of our politicians. If anyone else is, I would love to know why. Part 5. We're almost done. I got just a few notes from each of these chapters. Part 5. The biggest challenge is success. Chapter 11. When why goes fuzzy. Success can blur the why that inspired you and others that made you successful. It can lead to decisions that don't follow the why and cause disdain and resentment throughout the entire company. This is a note I already made, or at least I mentioned it earlier. So when a company, it can the blurred lines can happen when the leader leaves, when the inspirational leader exits the company, but it also can happen through the success of the company. When your why is to sell shoes like Vivo Barefoot that connects a person to the ground, and it's all sustainable product and fair trade, zero emissions. But then for some reason they just explode and get all of this success and popularity and fame. It can influence the leaders or the employees or the stockholder. It can, or I guess a good example is it can put pressure on the leaders to make decisions that will just get them money, because now you have people that have stock in a company, and so you have to just make as much money as possible, and that can deter or that can alter the course of action that you take, because you didn't go into it for money initially. You went into it for all of these other reasons, and now you make a bunch of money and have a ton of peer pressure. Again, that's a manipulative strategy. You have a ton of peer pressure to make decisions that go against your why, but might make you more money in the long term. Making decisions because of peer pressure and having a bunch of employees that stood for your why, and now you're acting against your why, will cause disdain and resentment in your company, within your employees, and within your customers. Chapter 12, split happens. For passion to survive, you need structure. Okay, the split is basically when a company loses its vision and focuses more on the what and the how than the why. The challenge isn't for leaders to survive forever. It's how to maintain inspiration and the why, the founding vision, alive well beyond the leader. So to avoid this split, to avoid the lines going fuzzy from your inspiration to your manipulation, you need to, a company needs to establish the procedures effectively so that when they exit, they'll remain long after their exit. And I think an example he uses is like Sam Walton. His goal was to create low price convenience stores for people in rural areas, the grocery store. And he cared more about the people than the product or than the prices all the time. And I guess Walmart had an excellent reputation for how it treated its customers and its employees. And then he explains that after Walton's exit, after his death, and several other, Walmart's why has been diluted through several CEOs over time. And now they're notorious for employee exploitation and mistreatment, and have undergone several class action lawsuits for mistreating their employees. And that's not what Sam Walton stood for. He stood for taking care of the employees and the customers first, and then the prices, and then the services and whatever. So an effective company, or rather, to avoid this, the company needs to establish the systems and procedures. They need to cement those systems and procedures that inspire people, so that after their exit, and then and bring in new leaders that resonate with the why, so that the vision that the original founder had will remain. There you go. Part 6. Discover why. Chapter 13, The Origins of a Why. Gaining the vision of why isn't the hard part. It's maintaining it. Acting in line with your why every day, despite everything and everyone else. Once you find your why, you want to get healthy. Why? Because you want to live longer, and you want to be healthy and strong for your family down the road. We know what that requires. That requires you going to the gym and eating well and getting enough sleep every day. Every day. And after going to bed at 8 p.m., like I get frustrated sometimes when the clock strikes 7:30 and I know it's time to start winding down. That's fucking ridiculous. But that's part of my what and my how is to go to bed early so I can get up early, so I can get plenty of sleep, so I can feel great the next day. But I still get frustrated getting ready for bed at 7:30 or 8 o'clock so that I can be asleep before 9 p.m. so that I can get up at 5 a.m. with no problems. And it sucks. I still get frustrated, and I don't always execute properly. Like I said, the 2 nights ago, I stayed until 3:30 in the fucking morning playing video games. And that doesn't speak to my why. It was a one-time fun thing that I did, and whatever. We could talk about the ethics of or the value of doing something like that. I had a great time, but it doesn't speak to my why. I don't want to do that. It doesn't make me a better person. So the gaining the vision of why you are going to do a thing, go to bed early, eat well, eat clean, is easy. You could see that and establish it fairly easy. It's the executing it every single day that's hard. And it's so hard, but it's essential. It's essential to bring your why to life. You have to live by it. You have to execute on it, or else it'll never come to life. And then you're living below your standards. You're living below what kind of life you want to live. And that's on you. It's only on you. You're the only one responsible for how your life plays out. You're not responsible of what happens to you, or you're not responsible for your lot in life, whether you're born into a rich family or born into poverty or born into health or born into sickness. You could be a victim of, like, I got colitis. I've got ulcerative colitis, and I have asthma, and I have eczema. And these are things that I can't get rid of. All I can do is live the best life I can, because that's what's important to me. Despite my ailments, despite my illnesses, despite my infirmities, I'm responsible for how I respond to my life. I'm not responsible for my colitis. I'm responsible for how I respond to it and how I behave every day. That's it. You're the only one responsible for how you live your life every day. And if you know your values and you don't live up to them, you're the only one responsible for that. Even if your value is, that's it. I'm just going to leave it there. Last chapter, chapter 14, the new competition. If you show up to be better than everyone else, no one will stand with you. If you show up to be better than who you were yesterday, everyone will stand with you. And he tells this awesome story about a kid who, I think he ran in high school or in college or something, and he had cerebral palsy and was obviously the slowest. I guess that's not obvious, but he was the slowest on the team. Everyone ran their races in 25 minutes, and he usually finished in 45 minutes. But it was clear to him, and it was clear to everybody on the team and the competition, that he wasn't there to be better than everyone else. He was there to be better than himself, who he was yesterday, or who he was in the last race. And it's a pretty moving story how he would struggle through all of his races. Every single one would be painful and excruciating, but he was the only one that ever had everybody supporting him to finish. If you show up to be better than your competition, nobody's going to stand with you. But if you show up to your job and to your family and to your hobbies to be just better than who you were, to be your best self, you'll find an immense amount of support. And then if you don't, at least you have yourself to support you, that you can be better than who you were yesterday, than who you were the last time you performed a thing or did a thing. You are your own competition. So you're responsible. You're the only one responsible for yourself. And life, all of these endeavors will be better enjoyed, and you'll find more support and help and love by showing up to be better than yourself, not to show up to be better than your competition. That's it, man. I loved that book. That was awesome. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. How great leaders inspire everyone to take action. Okay, I've got some. You want to know what the surprise is? This is the surprise, baby. I'm not reading a book next week. We're going to do this differently next week. Check this out. So for the last, it's been like 20 months. We've read a book. We've almost read a book every week for the last 20 months. And I'm not done reading books, but this is what I'm going to do now. I get the Daily Stoic emails every week, or every day rather, and they are promoting their New Year, New You challenge. And I've spent some time thinking about like how dumb New Year's resolutions are. And even the Daily Stoic talks about how most people don't follow through on their New Year's resolutions. And I'm guilty of that as well. For the last couple of years with my girlfriend, we'll sit down at the New Year's and we'll write our goals and we'll talk about them and make plans and blah, blah, blah. And we'll do really well for a little while. But then I haven't looked through my New Year's goals probably since last January. And I've done a lot of, like, subconsciously, I do a lot of what's on that list anyway. I go to the gym and I do yoga and I eat mostly well and I get plenty of sleep. Like, I'm doing a lot well. But there's other things on there that I haven't considered since January, like money goals, some savings goals, business goals, other hobby goals, podcast goals. There's some even other health and exercise goals that I just haven't touched since last January. So I've been thinking how dumb New Year's resolutions are, and I have an alternative. This is what I'm going to do. This is what Caden Kelly's book club podcast is going to do throughout the year of 2023. The first Monday or Tuesday, whenever the first podcast of every month is going to be a recap of last month's goals and actions and steps, and reestablishing commitments and goals for next month. I'm going to do it for myself, but I don't have a great reach or a marketing team or a way to promote this to a bunch of people, but the intention is to hopefully give you and everybody else a chance to make a goal or here's the idea. I want to do something really, crazy, not crazy, like something that's difficult to achieve within a year by the end of 2023. And my goal for the podcast is to have 100,000 downloads throughout 2023, 100,000 total downloads. Okay. I don't know how preposterous that is, if it's even possible, but I know that it's a goal that I think is really, it's a stretch goal. I think that will be hard to achieve, but I've got 12 months and I've got 52 weeks to make that happen. And so I can just say that right now and then forget about it, or not make any actionable steps, or even revisit that goal. But the intention is behind what I'm trying to do is not New Year's resolution, but new month resolution. So I'm going to set this stretch goal for the end of 2023 to have 100,000 total downloads for this year, for that year of 2023. And I'm going to have that's my podcast goal, and I'm going to make a business goal for my carpet cleaning business. I'm going to make an exercise goal and X, Y, and Z. But like the one that I want to be extremely accountable to on this podcast, because it's the podcast, is my podcast goal. I want to have a social media goal. Like, I don't know, maybe gain like 50,000 followers throughout all my social media, or 100,000. I don't know. But here's the idea. I'm going to make the year goal, and then I'm going to come up with actionable steps that I can take every day of every week for a month, and just do it a month at a time. So next week is going to be I'm gonna sit down and explain what I'm gonna do. I guess it's probably gonna be a shorter podcast because I'm not gonna do a book. We're gonna do the other weeks. The other weeks of the month are gonna be book reviews like we've done for 20 months. And but the first Monday, the first podcast episode of every month is gonna be the monthly review for myself. And like I have this. Maybe this should be part of the goal too. To have my listeners who want to participate and set a goal to do something by the end of the year is to have like, maybe not even do the podcast, but have do a live, like a Zoom meeting or something and talk about our goals and talk about effective strategies that we can take. So like like talk about the steps I'm taking every day and every week to increase my viewership for my podcast. But then also talk about strategies for if you have exercise or health goals, and talk about strategies if you have like competition goals, if you're a pickleball player or golfer or runner or something, or talk about other like business goals if you want to start a business or if you're in a business. If you want to buy a business, talk about effective strategies that you can take by the end of the year. But we're going to do it month at a time. That's the idea anyway. So the idea is we're going to change the format of the podcast a little bit, just for a couple episodes, for I guess a total of 12 episodes out of 52, right? They're going to be about the goal setting. So, that should be exciting. And then next week we'll talk about the book that we're going to read the following week. So we're not done reading books. We're going to keep reading books and do the reviews because all of these people and this is why I didn't intentionally read this book so that I can use this as the format. But this book ended up it kind of was the inspiration for this idea. As I read this book and considered it, I thought, why am I doing the podcast? And I explain it. I try to explain it every episode. I do this podcast to keep myself accountable to improve my life, to improve my health, my wealth, my wisdom, and my peace, but also to inspire my listeners to do the same. So if I want to be an effective leader or podcaster and I want to inspire my listeners, I need to better establish my why, and I need to live by it. And if I want to improve those areas of my life, I should set goals. I should make actionable steps to be a better person, to give you tools and resources to do the same for yourself. And so anyway, this book kind of bred that inspiration, bred that idea from me. And we're gonna try it. We're gonna do it once. We're gonna do a review once a month. I'm gonna spend some time figuring it out. Maybe next month will be like the rules and the system that we're going to come up with. I'll come up with a calendar, I guess, and I'll just kind of break down how I'm going to do it. But I want to help everybody else who listens, who has goals. Remember Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect? He talks about how systems are way better than setting goals. And so does James Clear in Atomic Habits. Goals are good, but systems are better. And even more specific, we set goals, things that we want to accomplish or achieve, but we use systems to get there, right? You want to lose 20 pounds? Well, you have to create a system that you live by every day to lose 20 pounds. And there's no other way around it, right? You have to be in a calorie deficit, and exercise helps, and lifting weights helps, and whatever. But it's really any goal that you set is really your chances of success for any goal that you set is way higher when you understand your why. And so that's why I think this book is going to be critical for this kind of challenge that we're going to do. It's going to help us create our goals, but understand why, right? In fact, maybe we should we should do what the book says, and we should start with why. We should start with what our values are, what we believe, and then come up with the system to implement every day of every week of every month for 2023 to get and to live by those values, to get to where we want to be, right? So I think it'll be fun. It's going to be challenging, and some days are going to be discouraging, but that's life, man. That's fucking life. If you ever want to grow or change or become better, it requires discomfort. It requires putting yourself in a little bit of a difficult situation. But the success comes through figuring out those problems and becoming better than your struggles. Well, not even becoming better, but learning how to bear them and get on the other side of them. And the more that we struggle, the more that we choose to struggle, the more resilient and the stronger we become, really. The struggle doesn't get easier, but we become stronger. So there we go. That's what we're doing next week. Can't wait to get started on that journey. It's going to be fun. Again, it's going to be fun, but it'll also be difficult and challenging. And but at the end of the year, man, if we can say that we stood by our resolutions, our monthly resolutions, not 1 year. We don't make the goal once a year and then forget about it until the new year. We're gonna do this every month. We're gonna reestablish and remind ourselves of our values, remind ourselves of our goals, remind ourselves of our beliefs, and then commit to another month and to another week and to another day of living by those goals and those values, living by those values. Awesome. I feel great about that. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast. Of course, you can always go to my blog to get more. CadenKellysBlog.wordpress.com. You'll find links to join this conversation, this podcast live on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube. You'll find my Instagram and TikTok for the little videos that I make. You'll also find the blog that I try to post once a week that I haven't posted the last couple weeks. All stuff to help inspire us to be better, right? To live better lives. That's it, man. That's what we do. So start with your why. Start considering your goals for your New Year's. What do you want to accomplish by 2023? Start with your why you want to accomplish anything that you think is valuable. And then we'll figure out how to do it and what to do. All right. Thanks for tuning in again. We'll see you next week for a special edition of Book Club with Caden Kelly. Have a great day.